Welcome to the step-by-step campaign build-out tutorial. In this video, I will walk you through how to set up your first AdWords campaign. And for this example, we're going to build out the brand terms campaign. So let's dive in. So if you haven't created an AdWords campaign before now, you will see this screen. If you're coming into this course and you've already started to build out your campaigns, you can create a new campaign from the campaign tab through either one of these two options. So we're just going to click on the new campaign. So now we need to select the goal that would make this campaign useful for us, and we're going to go with website traffic. Then we have to select a campaign type. Now it's really important to note that the only campaign type we can run within the grant is a search campaign. So let's select search and move on. Now we need to put in our website. So let's pop that in there so that we've got the right URL. Okay. This box about conversions, we can just ignore for the time being. We're going to come back to conversions later on in a separate module. So let's click continue. So now we need to set up a few more details about the campaign. Firstly, we need to title it. So let's call it something that we know we'll be able to find easily. So I'm just going to call this search and brand terms. Under the network box, you need to make sure that both of these options are not selected. They need to be blank, and the reason for that is that under the grant regulations, you cannot display ads on search partners or within the display network. So make sure to untick both of those boxes. Then we're going to look at the target and audiences. And here we can select a number of different options. So for this one, I'm going to put in the United States as a whole. Just remember, when you're setting up your brand terms campaign, it can be wider than the area that you service, but you want to make sure that all of the traffic coming to your site is relevant. So does it really make sense for you to be advertising your brand terms in areas that you don't service? That's up to you to decide. Then we've got these options here regarding targeting. Now, whilst this top option is actually recommended, we do not recommend that, because what this is doing is it's showing the ads to people regularly in, or who've shown interest in your targeted locations. So this means that anybody that might have been searching for information about the United States, they may get shown my ad, and I don't want them to be. I really only want people who are in or regularly in my targeted locations. So I'm going to select this second option, and I strongly suggest you do the same. So the next part is languages. Now, it would be common to think, okay, yes, great, it's English. I want my ads to be shown in English, and they will be shown in English. They'll be shown in the language that you write them. But when we look at society at the moment, there is so much multicultural societies and populations that we live amongst that actually putting this as English may limit my audience. There may be plenty of people in the United States whose first language isn't English, but would still be able to understand my adverts. So I'm actually going to remove English and just allow it to show for all languages. We don't need to do anything with the audience targeting at the moment. And then we come down to budget and bidding. So in here, I'm going to allocate a small budget for this campaign. The reason that it's small is that I know it's not going to get a huge amount of search traffic. So it doesn't really need to be that big. So I'm just going to put $10 in here, and that should be sufficient. Keep in mind, you can always amend your budgets at any point. And then what do we want to focus on? Well, ideally, we want to focus on conversions, but we don't have those set up yet. So for the time being, let's focus on clicks. And if we are only focusing on clicks in line with the grant regulations, we have to put a $2 cost per click limit on those. We are going to come back and change that once our conversions are in place. So don't worry too much about that for now. Just follow the setup that I have shown here. Then we've got our ad extensions. Again, don't worry about those for now. We've got a module covering those in the next lesson. So for now, just save and continue, and let's move through to setting up our ad groups. So the ad groups here, the first thing we want to do is give our ad group a name. Now there's a really easy and simple way to do this. We want to set up one ad group for each keyword that we're listing. So in this, my first keyword is going to be the standard spelling and standard terminology of our brand name, which is Do Nation. So that's what I'm going to call the ad group, because then it's super easy for me to find and identify what keywords are in that ad group. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to copy and paste this into here. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, but 4 times. And the reason that we're going to do that is we're going to format these keywords so that we rank for different match types. So leaving it blank here gives us a broad match. Adding a plus in front of each word gives us the broad match modified. Adding the quotation marks to either side gives us a phrase match. And adding the square brackets to either side gives us an exact match. And we're going to do this with all of the ad groups that we set up in all of our campaigns. Okay, so let's save and continue. So in this screen, you'll see it looks a little complicated, but it's pretty straightforward. Under each ad group, we want to set up 3 ads. We want to set up 2 text ads and 1 responsive search ad. So it will usually default to these text ads, so we'll start there. The final URL, so this is the page that this traffic will land on. Because it's a brand term, I want them to land on the home page. It's where they'll find the most comprehensive overview of the information and options that we offer. So we've got then an option to add in 3 headlines. Each of these headlines are 30 characters long. We have up to 30 characters to use. We can then add in a display path. So what this means is we can add in additional paths that will still take the user to this website, but the path name may indicate something of more relevance for them. As this is our brand campaign and we're taking them to the home page, it's not really relevant for me to add anything in at this stage. Then we have 2 description fields, and these are both 90 characters long. So I've pre-prepared some headlines and appropriate things to use. In your brand campaign, it's really important that you call out some key things about your organisation. What is it your organisation really represents, and how can you summarise that very effectively and tell viewers that this is where they need to be? So for some examples might be, for my business, for example, or our organisation, it might be digital marketing resources. And that's great. 27 characters fits very nicely, sums up what we're doing. But actually, I don't want to put that in headline 1. What I want to put in headline 1 is the keyword. So I'm going to put in Do Nation. And the reason that I'm going to do that is because if somebody is typing this into Google, I want them to realise that when that first headline tells them this is exactly what they were looking for. It matches what they have searched exactly. So I'm going to add in the digital marketing resources as my second headline. And then other things to include in the headline might be a call to action or highlighting some of the real selling points of your organisation. So for this, maybe I'm going to include maybe free resources. So we've got a ton of free resources on our blog. We know that that might be a really great way to get people onto the site and get them using the resources that we've crafted for them. Description 1. So this is where we really need to look at the website. If we can use text and copy that's already on your landing pages to facilitate these descriptions, Google absolutely loves that, because it tells Google that this ad is very relevant to the content that it's driving people to, because that content matches. So we've got some examples here that we can add in. I want to give people a bit more of an overview as to what our organisation does. So this is pulled directly from the Do Nation website, and I can see here it's too many characters. So it's telling me I've got to shorten that, and that's fine. So I think what we'll do now is we'll probably just take a little bit of this out, and let's just concentrate on non-profits and freelancers. Great. But that's going to match up to really what my website is saying, and Google's going to love that. So let's have a look at another one and see if we can put that in there. Okay. So again, it's a little too long. So let's just shorten that down, and there we go. Now, one thing to note when you're building out these descriptions is Google really likes to capitalize every word. In their mind, this provides a really good looking ad. So we're just going to go in and make sure that all of the words we've used are capitalized. And this will become like second nature as you start doing this for yourself. So we're just going to go in, make these changes, make sure that every word we're using is capitalized. So just bear with me one moment. You can use this opportunity to pause the video if you need to start building out your own campaign. Okay, nearly there. It's a little bit fiddly at times. It's kind of best to do this before you come into this screen. It can sometimes be a little easier. But there we go. Okay, so now I've done, and I'm going to create my next ad. So for the next ad, I might choose to include some different headlines. Again, keeping headline 1 the same, so making sure that that is the keyword. But in headline 2, we're going to put in our tagline and maybe a call to action. You can see that's just too long. So we're going to take out that word and just have it as join our community. And we're going to put in here a new description. Okay, so let's take that out. Okay, so again, this is taken directly off the Do Nation website, so Google's going to absolutely love this. For the purposes of moving the video along, I'm not going to capitalize this, but you should do so. Okay, so done and create next ad. Okay, and so now what it's asking me to do is it's now asking me to to create this responsive search ad. And the difference with that is we have an opportunity to add in a lot more headlines and more descriptions. And so what Google will do is it will optimize these, it will swap these different variations around, and then it will start understanding through machine learning what is the best combination of headlines and descriptions to use. Now, this box here, whilst it looks very useful, can actually hinder your performance. So just be a bit careful with this. We don't really want to add in more than 8 or 9 headlines, because adding in any more of that just means it takes Google more time to learn what are the best combinations. Okay, so let's add some things in here, and you can see that actually based on the last 2 ads that I created, it's already given me some great headlines to include. So we can include some more. So we're going to add a couple more in here. Okay. Just remember to be capitalizing all of these different things. So we've got a combination here of a few things that are informative, a few things which kind of really call out what we do, and a few reasons to sign up, and a few reasons and a few calls to actions of what actions we actually want people to take. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so I only want to have 9, and that's actually 10. So let's get rid of that one, and let's pop that one in there. Okay, great. And then it's actually already auto-populated 3 descriptions based on my other ads. I'm really happy with those, so I'm going to go ahead and use them, but you can edit those into whatever you want them to be. Okay, let's hit done and save and continue. Okay, so now it's obviously telling me that it wants me to set up conversions. We're going to come back to that later. We don't need to worry about that for now. And add extensions, but that's all fine. So we're just going to go ahead and hit publish. And we now have a campaign in place. So what we need to do now is we need to come back to ad groups, and we need to build out some more ad groups. So what ad groups should we also build out? These are all the variations of the way that your name might be spelt, or people might be searching for your organisation. So for example, we are DoNation, but we know that our website is donation.world. So I may build then the second ad group out as DoNation World. I know also that people might miss that hyphen. So I'm probably going to create another ad group which is just donation instead of DoNation. So I would have DoNation World and DoNation. Then I might set up another one for Do and then Space Nation. And also maybe something like DoNation Digital Marketing, because I know that people will probably be searching for us or will be finding us through those terms. So that would then give us maybe 4 or 5 different ad groups with those different variations of the brand term. If you have different locations, you may want to build out, for example, DoNation New York, or DoNation, Baltimore. Whatever it is, whatever your locations are, it can also be a really good way to immediately tell the search traffic that they are in the right place by including a geographical location in the keyword. So That's that. You just copy out exactly what we did on the previous one. So we'd go across here. You would then build out the 3 ads again, and you can see that a lot of these things have already been auto-populated. So it's super quick and easy for you to then build out those exact ads, those ads again. You don't necessarily need to change all of your headlines and all of your descriptions for each ad group. The majority of the time they can actually stay the same. It's the same information that you want to convey to people. You just want to make sure that all of these keywords are in their separate ad groups so that people can find you and so that you have full visibility over which ad groups and which keywords are really driving traffic to your account. So now take the time, go in, create as many ad groups as necessary for each of the relevant terms that people might find your brand from. Build out 3 ads for each of those ad groups, 2 text ads, 1 responsive search ad. And once you've done that, your brand terms campaign will be fully built out and ready to go. And then if you want to finish that up, we'll then take you through the conversion tracking and how to set up your ad extensions to get the absolute most out of your campaign. So once you've built out those additional ad groups with those keywords, you should have something that looks a little like this. So here I can see I've got the brand terms campaign, and if I click into that, I'll then see all the ad groups that I've got set up. Now, there are 2 ways of doing this where your brand name are concerned. If, like me or my business, there are very close variations, you could load all of these into 1 ad group. But obviously, we do want to try and make sure that there's more than 1 ad group in each campaign. But if you have slightly different variations, so maybe you've got an abbreviation, maybe there's a slightly different arm or specific sort of brand terminology that you're known for, then definitely setting up these individual ad groups is very beneficial. And then if I click into one of these ad groups, I can see that within my ad group, I've got my variations here. So the broad match, the phrase match, the exact match. And then going into the ads themselves, I can see that I have got 2 expanded text ads and 1 responsive search ad. Obviously, yours will not say this because your campaign will be live. My campaign is paused, which is why it's showing those messages. But yeah, you should have something like that. And then your account and campaign should be live and those ads will start running. So anytime someone searches for your organisation name, this is what they'll see. So you've got full control over that in terms of the headlines that they can see, the descriptions, and really just making sure that you're coming across in a really professional manner and that you're giving people the relevant information that's going to make them want to click through from the advert.